Give me a minute. All right, thank you. I've started recording because I didn't get anything, so we'll start. So thank you guys for joining. Myself, Srini, and today June 28th, Monday, and we'll be discussing about all everything about Cancer sign. Yeah, and everything is through Vedic astrology. There is no chart reading, and this is a recorded session. As you can see, the disclaimer. So this is only for audio recorded session, and in case if you're not comfortable, you can leave the room at your own interest accordingly. Yeah, thank you for joining. Kindly, I would say that not only follow myself but all the people in the room as well. So thank you and happy Monday. So what we are going to discuss is today about is Cancer sign, right? Kirk or Cancer sign. And as we discuss the Kirk and Cancer sign, what I'm going to do is we'll be discussing more about in depth, but I'll just give a quick overview. The quick overview, you have 12 houses, right? You start from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Now you have nine planets. The nine planets you start from are Sun, Moon, the royal planets, the light planets. You have the five planets Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn. And then you have the two planets North Node, South Node. And I know Leonard also asked earlier about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. We don't cover Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto in Vedic astrology, right? And so we have the nine planets, 12 houses, right? Now, I've always broken down the houses and planets in different ways, so I'll break it down as well, so you can always remember it. So the breakdown of the nine planets are in terms of sex, right? You have masculine planets are Sun, Mars, Jupiter. Rahu, I consider is also masculine. Some consider female, I consider as masculine. Female planets are Moon and Venus. Okay. Again, some consider Rahu as female, I consider as male. And the Inuch planets are Saturn, Mercury, Ketu, right? That's how these planets are broken down. Now, when you come to the sex of the houses and the way of the houses are broken down, they are right. You can break it down by the nature. The nature are movable, fixed, dual. So Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn are movable. Okay, movable houses. Now the fixed houses are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and the dual means has both movable and fixed element in it, which is Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini. Okay, that is one way. Another way of classification of these houses are male female gender. All odd houses are male, all even houses are female. So you have Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Sagittarius, and Aquarius are masculine in nature. Then you have Taurus, Cancer, then you have Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Pisces are feminine in nature. The next way of elements to break it down is fire, earth, air, water. So Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo, or Aries, Leo, Sagittarius are fire signs. Earth signs are Taurus. Then you have your Leo. Then you have your so where did I miss? 159, right? Aries, sorry, Taurus. Then you have Virgo, and then you have the Capricorn, or your ground signs, right? Which means earth signs or ground signs. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So, what we are going to do today is we are going to focus deeper on the water sign. Among the water sign, the one we are going to focus is Cancer here, right? So, we are going to discuss everything about Cancer. Now, when you want to discuss everything about Cancer, we'll start. Who is the owner of the Cancer, right? Sign is Moon, right? They say that this is the best sign among all the 12 houses, right? The best sign. Why? Because few reasons. It's movable, right? It's movable. Now, among movable, you have Aries, Libra, Capricorn also, right? But the reality, this is the best sign right? The best of the best, you can call it, is one, if you look at it, Parashara says among all the 12 houses, right, the movable houses are the most powerful. What are the movable houses? Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Now, among the movable houses, why are they powerful, right? See, because they're always on the move. They try to give you something. You can never catch these houses because they're always moving, always something happening, right? So there's always some activity happening, right? So also look at these four houses. You have four major planets getting exalted. Sun getting exalted in Aries, Jupiter in Cancer, Libra, Saturn is exalted in Libra, and then you have Capricorn is where you have Mars exalted. So four major planets exalted in these four corners, right? Now, among these also, these four signs also mark the natural kendras of the Mulatrikona or the house, right? The natural zodiac, rather, not the Mulatrikona, the natural zodiac, which is 1, 4, 7, 10, starting from Aries. Now, what is also important is these houses, right, also signify your solstice and equinox, your summer winter solstice, right? So your summer falls on June 22nd, right? Or on that time, right? Where we just had it right now when if you look at versus your then you have your winter solstice next comes in, right? Winter solstice now when sun enters Cancer here, right, in this process, and then you have the winter solstice also comes in, and then you have the equinoxes, right, which is the Aries and the Libra sign. So the solstice and equinox falls on this axis. People also call it a cardinal signs. So now, why again Cancer is important among movable signs? Because we have discussed that movable signs are very strong among all the 12 signs. Cancer is the strongest because Cancer is owned by Moon, and every other planet which owns the other card, the movable signs, be it Aries or Libra or Capricorn, has dual ownership, right? Dual ownership. Mars owns Aries, Scorpio. Saturn owns Aquarius plus Capricorn. Venus owns Libra plus Taurus. The dual ownership puts a problem for these houses, right? The dual ownership, the problem here is, okay, the problem here is that they have a good house and a bad house. So for example, take Aries ascendant, Mars owns first and eighth house, right? So it's a good and a bad house, right? Same thing, take for example Taurus ascendant or Libra. Taurus ascendant, Venus owns first and sixth, right? Or Libra, Venus owns eighth and first and eighth. Same thing, Capricorn ascendant. Take Venus, Mars, Saturn owns first and second. Aquarius ascendant, what happens? For an Aquarius ascendant, you have Saturn owning first and the 12th, right? So everywhere, if you see, these planets own two houses, out of which one is a good house and one is a bad house. So eventually, these planets will give influence of both these houses. Versus Moon only owns one house, like Sun. That is why if you see Sun and Moon, right? Sun and Moon own houses or somewhere royal signs, and between the two, the Moon is further royal than the Sun, and the only reason is because it gets a movable house and Sun gets a fixed house. Okay, just the way we spoke about the nakshatra coming in Leo, right? Maga nakshatra is like a throne. It's a fixed one. It's a fixed position, right? Versus the one what you see the constellation being even Australasia. It's like a snake. It's always movable, right? So somewhere the Cancer is the strongest among the 12. Okay, so that is important to note, right? As we go further, that's why they say that it's the best among the 12 signs or ascendants, however you want to call it. So it's movable, it's feminine, right? It's movable, it's feminine, and watery in nature. Okay, because Cancer is a water sign like Pisces and um, Scorpio, right? You have a lot of politicians, right? Politicians, big famous people sitting in this, having this ascendant, right? Then you have leaders, big leaders, politicians. Leo also signifies politicians. Yeah. So there is also Leo ascendant is there. Now, the other important thing when I said earlier, that this is still the best sign, best ascendant is also because I just remember as we speak is see, Cancer is the natural fourth house in the zodiac, and that is owned by Moon. The natural fourth house also signifies mother. They say that, see, for a child, a father may not help, father may not do, but a mother would never ever desert the child. Okay, the mother is the biggest blessing for a child. So, what happens in this case is because a mother is so important in this process, right? Mother is more very important. That is also the reason why this has the highest priority over the other houses because of the mother, right? And that's very important, right? And the same thing, look at Moon. Moon does not have any enemies except Rahu Ketu. The rest, Moon doesn't consider anybody as their any enemies at all, right? So that's important to note, right? So this house has a dual kind of a nature, right? Because of it, they call it as a two-way sign or a dual sign kind of a thing. It's not a pure dual sign, but it's got elements of the duality nature in this house. That's the way how this house rises in the zodiac. Okay, this is a very fast-moving house. Okay, it's a watery house, so there is a lot of emotions, right? And a lot of emotions are there. Okay, so again, what is the difference between we have three houses, right? Which is emotional watery. Those three houses are Pisces, Scorpio, and um, Cancer. What is the three difference between this? So, so Cancer, water house, movable. Okay, Scorpio, water house, fixed. Okay, then you have Pisces. You have Pisces, which is dual in nature but watery. So what this means in this case is a Cancer house being a watery house, right? It's movable. It's movable means it's something like running, running, running. It's like a lake. It's like an ocean. Okay, ocean where it is movable. Okay, so that means planets in Cancer usually will support foreign travel, foreign settlement. Okay, then Scorpio, fixed sign. Fixed sign could be something like a pond, a lake, water from a pond, water from a lake, which is fixed, not movable. Water from a well, if you have a well or something, right? So basically, this sign is more like crossing cities or state within a country. Okay, Pisces. Pisces has got dual nature, which is more like a movable and fixed, something like a sea. Okay. So Cancer, if you see, Cancer is the biggest one for crossing the ocean and the country. Okay. Versus followed by Pisces, which is could be something like neighboring countries, US, Canada, right? Or a country within Europe, right? Among Europe itself, or even US, Mexico, right? Where you have some kind of a water bed versus a Scorpio is a fixed one. Somebody moving state to state within a country. That is more of that kind of a movement, right? So you understand the difference between the three. Now, I said among the four best signs, among the 12, you have the four best signs, right? Which is Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra. And among these four, Cancer becomes the number one. If Cancer is the number one, which is the second best one, right? The second best one is automatically Libra. Why? Because all the other three planets own two houses, but Venus is the second rated benefic here. Because Venus is the second rated benefic, what happens is the Libra sign becomes the next one. The third best sign is Aries because between Saturn and Aries, Saturn is the most malefic. Mars is only 75% malefic and 25% benefic, but Saturn is 100% malefic. So, Saturn, Capricorn, is the fourth sign among the best in this case. Okay, so I thought I'll explain that also. Now, right, okay, so now what we have to do is Right. Okay. I'm trying to think. Mom nature. Okay. So I spoke about the important people thing is people who have Cancer as an ascendant. Cancer is where a moon is, right? They're usually very emotional people, right? They are not selfish at all. Okay, they're not selfish and they're very helpful people. Now, what would change is if you have a Saturn aspecting this moon, if you have a Rahu or a Ketu conjunct with the moon, that will change. Okay. But if there is no malefics, only benefics aspecting this moon or this Cancer house, these people are very good for helping as well. There is a lot of foreign travel, as I said, because it's a movable water sign, right? That's important. Now, if you look at the animal, like just the way crab, the crab goes to the land as well as to the water, right? So there is this dual nature of this house itself. So these people have the ability to adapt to their environment through this process. Now, in terms of constellations, right? In terms of constellations, there are nine nakshatra padas coming into this house, right? Nine nakshatra padas. The last pada of Jupiter's nakshatra, which is Punarvasu, comes here. Okay, that is a very strong nakshatra because that is a Vargotama here. Okay, next is you have the nakshatra, the four stars of Saturn, which is Pushya, and the four stars of Mercury, which is Aelia, comes here. Okay, so that is pretty much from the nakshatra perspective. Now, one of the thing before we go the pros, cons, and all those things, a lot of people have come back to me and have given very good feedback about this two team A, team B, and a lot of people have started understanding this concept, the two teams. So moon, before we go, moon is of team A, where Jupiter is the captain, and then you have, if you see, you have the planets which support our sun, moon, Mars, sun, moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Ketu, right? And the six ascendants, starting from Aries, then you have Cancer, you have Leo, you have Scorpio, you have Sagittarius, and Pisces. Moon will be tried to support, okay? Now, one is important is why I'm saying moon here because Cancer is owned by moon. Okay, Cancer is owned by moon. What is important to say here is few things. Number one, okay, number one is every time you have to check Cancer, you also have to check the strength of the moon. The strength of the moon, how do you break it down? You have to break it down by six or seven different ways. Those are, right, the strength of the moon is whether it's a full moon or not. Okay, a full moon means, let's say, moon in Cancer, sun is sitting in Capricorn. That's a full moon. A moon in Aquarius, sun is sitting in Leo. It's a full moon, right? That moon is with full strength. Check whether which ascendant the person is born, team A or team B. That is also very important. Okay, number two. Number three, Number three would be whether it's a waxing moon or a waning moon. Waxing moon is still strong. Okay, not as strong as the full moon, but it's still strong because the charge is going up. A waning moon is charge just keeps on going down. Okay. The next one is the moon aspected by benefics or conjunct with benefics like Jupiter, Mercury, Venus. Okay, aspect conjunction. Now the moon should not be with Saturn, Rahu, Ketu. Mars is somewhat okay, but not Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, right? These are malefic planets. Saturn, Rahu, Ketu signifies darkness here, especially Saturn and Rahu. Okay, Mars is not darkness. Mars is about aggression. Mars is about activity, being very active. That is the difference. Okay. Uh, the next one is check the power of the moon in the Navamsha, right? That is very important to see how moon is placed in the Navamsha. And also check, you can check the moon whether it is exalted, own house, etc. Right? That is what we call Sthana Bala under Shad Bala. And then when moon gets directional strength in the fourth house, this is called Digbala, right? So checking that is important. And then you can check the power of the moon in what is called Shodasha Varga, 16 charts. The Varga charts, the 16 charts. And the easiest way to break it down is to see the strength of the moon in the 16 charts, especially in the top 10 charts called the Dasa Varga chart, or in the top 7 charts, right? Which is called the Saptavarga charts. Okay, that's the other way you do. Now, This is how you break the strength of the moon. Okay, so now we have discussed at a very high level the summary about the cancer house, why cancer house is important among all the 12 houses, right, and all the things which is going around the cancer house. Now what I'm going to break it down is, I also mentioned the planets which does very well here are sun, moon, Mars, and Jupiter plus Ketu, right? The planet which doesn't do well typically is Saturn, Mercury. Venus is mixed, somewhat okay, but Saturn and Mercury no. Rahu does well. Ketu is somewhat okay. Okay, Ketu is not great, but Rahu is okay. But now we are going to put the rules of how they have to be placed as well, right? So Sun. Usually, what happens if Sun is placed in Cancer, right? We don't know which house, etc., which ascendant, right? But Sun is placed in Cancer. If Sun is placed in Cancer, usually I've seen families, this person will get separated from the family. Okay, I've seen that a lot. Why? Also because Leo is, if you see, Sun is sitting here in Cancer. That means from Leo house, from his own house, he's sitting 12th here. The Cancer is the 12th house. So he's sitting 12th to the his own house, right? So that itself has some issue with that. He can't aspect its own house, right? But Sun is still placed in a good position because he's sitting in his friend's side, right, which is moon, right? So the moon strength become important, and I explained just now how to check the moon strength. Okay, now let's say this, right? If moon is in Capricorn and sun is in Capricorn, can be any nakshatra, right? Uttarshada or even Shravana, right? We call it as Tiruvona nakshatra, right? Moon in Shravana or Tiruvona nakshatra, sun is sitting in Cancer here, right? It's a beautiful placement, right? They say that's how Mahavishnu was born, right? And in Kerala, they call it Onam or Tiruvonam, right? That's how it's called, the Tiruvona thing, right? So then you have, it's a good one, right? But the important point is, Sun should be dignified here through aspect of Moon or Jupiter or Mercury or Venus, okay? Now, Mercury is not good here with conjunction because Mercury doesn't like Moon's house. But Venus is somewhat okay, right? Venus is fine. Jupiter is excellent here, right? So Mercury and Moon are enemies. That's why. So this is about Sun. Moon, right? Moon. So Moon here is a good position, right? Provided the Moon again has to be with strength, okay? Like a full moon, which means Sun is sitting in Capricorn, Moon is sitting in Cancer. Excellent, okay? Now, but if new moon also falls in this house, it's okay because it's his own house. But end of the day, he's only with 50% strength or so, right? So you have to understand that, okay? Now, moon should not be aspected or sitting with malefic like Saturn and Rahu here because that means that is a big problem, right? Now, Ketu is somewhat okay, but moon should not be with Rahu or Saturn. Ketu is will give still some of its challenges, okay? Now, Moon with Mars, right, is not bad. Even though Mars is debilitated here, but Moon and Mars conjunction, actually, Moon will dignify this Mars in a way, right? Now, Moon may lose some power, but it'll still dignify the Mars excellent, right? See, the way is when Moon and Mars are placed here, okay? Moon will always win over Mars. Okay, Moon will always win over Mars, even if Moon is placed here with Mars. Why? Look at it this way. Moon is what? Water. We spoke about earlier. Water, right? Moon is a watery planet. What is Mars? Is a fire planet. What do you do when you get fire in a house or fire in a place? You put water to stop the fire. Okay? You put water to stop the fire. And then what happens? Okay, what happens? The fire gets dissolved, the fire goes away. So the water has the ability to knock the fire completely off. Same way moon can actually control the fire energy of Mars, because it's its own house, plus moon is a watery planet as well, so there's a lot of water energy to control this moon. Okay, correct, 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 correct. So there is a Chandramangal yoga, right? So I'm not done, but thank you for Prachiti saying. See, the Chandramangala yoga is nothing but Moon and Mars conjunction, right? And if it comes in Cancer, it's a very good yoga. Now, I would always say Moon Mars conjunction is excellent. Okay, why? Because look at the distance from an astronomical perspective. Moon is a very close planet to the Earth. Mars is a very close planet to the Earth. And Moon and Mars are very close. Because of the distance and the closeness, right? It works a lot. See, we have seen this through the process, right? Many times we speak about relationships. Sometimes what happens, big challenge, long distance relationship collapses, right? Now with COVID in place, a lot of long distance relationship is a challenge further, right? Now, same way, same process, if you look at, right? Same thought process. Moon and Mars are very close planets to the Earth. So it is able to tap the energy to each other. Versus the farther it go, it's a long distance relationship kind of a thing. So there is always challenge. But Moon and Mars is a very good yoga, like Prachiti mentioned about the Chandramangala yoga, right? Be it a conjunction or aspect. I have seen many charts, for example, where Moon could be placed in Scorpio debilitated, but Mars will be Cancer debilitated. But then both of them come back to their own signs. Excellent placement, right? So if you study the chart of the former president of India, right, Abdul Kalam, right? I believe he's a Scorpio ascendant. Moon is sitting in the ascendant debilitated, and Mars is sitting in Cancer debilitated. But they have exchanged houses between first and ninth. Excellent position. Excellent. Okay, so you have to consider that Moon is one planet. You should always check its strength. Just because if Moon is debilitated in the sign of Scorpio, right? So I kind of forgot to mention this earlier. Moon is exalted at 3 degrees Taurus. Moon's own sign is Cancer. Exalted at 3 degree Taurus. The next 27 degrees of Moon's exaltation is Mula Trikona in Taurus. When Moon is exalted at 3 degree Taurus in the nakshatra of Kritika, Pada 2, right? Moon goes to, in the Navamsa, Moon goes to Capricorn. Okay? Moon is debilitated in Visakha nakshatra, Pada 4. Okay? And then what happens in this case is that moon in the Navamsa would go to Cancer, which is own house. So the mythological story for Moon is it's got 27 wives and always attached to this first wife, not the first wife, the favorite wife here, Rohini. The first wife was Jayashta, the old wife, the oldest. So then the curse happened and all those things happened, right? But the reality is, if you look at Moon, if it's in Scorpio, right? Moon in Scorpio, do not say immediately it's debilitated. Moon is debilitated in the nakshatra of Vishaka, Pada 4. But having said that, Moon still does well in Vishaka nakshatra because in the Navamsa he goes to Cancer. Now, Jayashta is somewhere the Moon has challenge. And in Jayashta, Pada 1 and Pada 4 are fine because Pada 1 is in Sagittarius, Pada 4 is in Pisces. The Pada 2 and Pada 3 are challenging because it goes to Saturn houses of both Capricorn and Aquarius. Okay. And as we speak, guys, thank you for joining. Just to give you a heads up, this is the recorded session, right? And the recording will be available later. And so, in case if you're not comfortable with recording or if you're not comfortable with asking question, I leave it up to you. You can leave the room as well. Yeah. Please do not share any personal information as well. And thank you again for joining myself, Srini. And I would highly recommend that you follow the Vedic Astrology Club and you follow all the speakers and mods in the room as well. Thank you. So, right. I'm trying to think. So we spoke about. Okay, so you have to understand what is great question, right? You have to understand what is Mula Trikona, right? Mula Trikona is got if from a physics perspective, it's got to understand about electromagnetism, right? Electromagnetism, and it is also got to do with gravity. Okay, what happens in this case is in this case, and this is my experience. Okay, now if you look at Taurus and Cancer, both have got female energy. Okay, and if you look from a physics perspective, from electromagnetic force and gravity, these are negative energy as negative ions. Okay, now what happens when Moon enters Taurus, right? When Moon enters Taurus, see, Moon is the fastest moving planet, right? Moon takes almost little over 2 quarter days to complete one sign to another sign, and literally close to 27 and what, one third, or 27.3 days or something, Moon completes one whole cycle. Okay, very fast moving planet, right? Now, what is Cancer sign? Cancer sign is also a fast moving planet, and it's also got a water energy in it. Okay, a water energy, very similar to the Moon's energy. Now, what do they say? Like poles repel, unlike poles attract. Okay, now where Moon gets strength is it needs a ground sign. See, it needs stability, it needs a ground, a fixed sign, and that sign also has to be a female sign because Moon is full of female energy. Okay, now 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 if you look at it, right, that fixed sign and the female sign, there is only one sign here. Okay, now there are, because Capricorn is still a movable sign. Okay, it's female, but Capricorn is movable, not fixed. Okay, now Cancer is a female sign, but is movable and not fixed again. Okay, now Virgo is dual, female sign, but dual in nature. Now Scorpio is watery sign, but a fixed sign. So there's only one sign which would align to this thing, which is Taurus. Okay, so Taurus is a ground sign, a fixed sign, and a female sign. So the energy of the Moon now gets grounded. Okay, the energy of the Moon gets grounded in a way where it gets stability. See, I will tell you an example. So when you are driving in the US, for example, in the suburbs, you are driving at low speed. The minute what happens, you are entering an interstate, right? A highway, interstate. You try to speed up and get into it. Once one is in an interstate, what happens is in the highway, you press the accelerator, and then what you do is, once you are there, at some point you do what is called cruise control. From there, you are at a steady speed, right? So the same energy, the same way of how it happens is for the Moon sees a similar energy in this process. Okay, the cruise control thing, right? So this is very important to note, right, of how Moon behaves, right, where Moon is able to kind of highlight or ground energy, right? Moon is able to ground its energy in a way that it can do what is called cruise control versus being a fixed sign. Because what happens is, if the sign itself is a movable sign, right, the sign continues to move the same way the planet continues to move. There is a big challenge. Okay, the big challenge is because both of them are moving at a very fast speed, right? So the ability to control or navigate, right, is a big challenge, right? I hope I answered your question. No problem. Yeah, sure. And I hope this helped. So, but this is the reality. This is the reality why, right? This is the reality why you see the difference that Moon has the female energy and needs, right, and needs the help of, I would say, something like, how should I say, something like a planet like Venus energy to get that groundness. And it's a fixed sign, very important, right? All the more important is a fixed sign, right? And it's a female sign. Sure. So very simple, right? Great question. The full so look at so I'll take an example. Okay, you have to break down the sequence of layers for the weightage. So for moon, let's take see the only way to is to give an example. Let's take an example. Sun is in Aries, Moon is in Libra. Okay, and they're exactly opposite to each other, 10 degrees, 10 degrees, which means they both are opposite 180 degrees. Now this moon is with 100% strength, full strength. Okay, this is the exact conjunction. Now let's take this moon is so let's take sun is in 10 degrees Aries, moon is at 8 degrees Libra. Now this is close to 100%, but it's still a waxing moon. Okay, so you take 180 degrees and the strength is 100%. Now if it is halfway, you can take it as 50%. So you just break the degree, you do the math. This is how you do the math. Same thing, you keep sun in Aries, you start moving the moon from Libra to Capricorn, right? Now what has happened is that moon has almost lost 50% strength, but it is waning. So the 50% strength waning moon gets lower further. Okay, so this is one way to reduce the strength. Then you will have to see the Navamsha. Then you will have to see, right, who is aspecting the moon, who is conjuncting the moon, right? Anybody else is there. Then you will have to see the Sthana Bala. Is it exaltation, own house, etc. Then you will have to see where it's got its Digbala. Moon gets Digbala in the fourth house. So if moon is sitting in the fourth, he gets very good strength. So then you'll have to see the other divisional charts. So you have to break down into layers and layers and layers and give values and strength to it. And then next important thing is you have to understand whose ascendant it is. Because see, for example, for a Gemini ascendant, moon becomes kind of a malefic, or for a Virgo ascendant, moon does become a functional malefic. So you have to see if that moon planet is going to support you or not. And moon supports as a functional benefit for the six ascendants I mentioned of team A. That's where the strength of the moon is going to come. I don't know if I answered your question, Scarlett. Correct. Sure. So remember, I expressed two things, right? The new moon is a malefic. Exceptions to the rule is always there. When when the new moon is being formed in Taurus, Cancer, Leo, or Taurus, Cancer, Leo, or Aries, that moon is kind of not a malefic anymore. Why? Because it happens is in the house of exaltation on own. Sun is exalted in Aries, moon is exalted in Taurus. Moon's own house is Cancer, moon's sun's own house is Leo. When the sun moon conjunction happens in any one of these four houses, automatically the dignification happens of the sun and the moon. So you should not take it as a malefic anymore. Okay, the next one. Another exception is two of the Jupiter houses, which is Pisces and Sagittarius. If sun and moon gets conjunct here, do not consider that do not consider that sun and moon is malefic here because it's a Jupiter house, the dignification happens. Now, understand that I know you asked about Mercury. I'll also explain about Venus. Mercury and Venus are always closely with the Sun. Mercury never will cross 28 degrees than Sun. Okay? He will never cross. He'll stop. That's the border, maximum 28 degrees. Venus will never cross Sun 48 degrees. Okay? So Mercury, Sun, Venus always together, right? Now, when Sun and Moon are conjunct, okay, now let's pick an example. Let's pick an example. Okay, Sun, Moon conjunct in Virgo. Okay, I'm avoiding the other six signs I mentioned, right? The Leo, the Taurus, the Aries, the Cancer, Sagittarius, and Pisces. I've kept the six houses out now. Sun and Moon are conjunct in Virgo now. If Mercury is with Sun and Moon along with this conjunction, look at the degree. Then what happens is you should not consider this as a malefic year anymore, or the new moon is a malefic. Why? Because what is a new moon? Understand from physics again. The new moon is nothing but there is no light to the moon. Okay? There is no light energy. But Mercury, Venus are natural benefits with light. Okay? When Sun and Moon are conjunct, Mercury forms or part of the process in the conjunction, right? Then what happens is that Moon Sun conjunction is not malefic anymore because light is automatically given. Just the same way you have a phone, and that phone is not does not have charge, but you're putting a power bank. That power bank is Mercury now, which gives light to the phone. Same way, light to the planets. Same way, if Venus, I'll give another example. Sun, Moon sitting in Libra with Venus, right? Now that's Venus' own house. Automatically, what happens is now that Sun and Moon is not a malefic anymore. Now I'll give another example. The Sun and Moon sitting in Libra. Now, Jupiter sitting in Aries, aspecting the Sun and Moon. Jupiter's got a light energy source. The minute light comes on this Jupiter, right? The minute light comes on this Jupiter, I mean, the light comes from the Jupiter on this Moon and Sun. Straight away, they are not malefic anymore. Okay, it's all about light. Just the same way I was telling earlier, Moon and Scorpio do not take it debilitated immediately. If a Jupiter is aspecting it, if Mars Parivartana Yoga, all those rules have to be explained and understood. Scarlett, does that make sense? No, great question, but thank you, because you will have to consider in the Sun and Moon if Mercury or Venus or Jupiter is involved through conjunction or aspect. That is how you would understand. Okay. Great question. So, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. I'll be happy to move you to the speaker zone as well. Yeah, thank you. So we finished so far. I'm trying to think. I don't know where we finished last. Okay, so we finished with, I think, Moon sitting in here in the conjunction, right? Moon always win over water, I think, or Mercury. Moon over wins over Mars, and fire and water. I spoke about that. If I think that's what I think I last left. Now, Moon should not be with malefic planets like Saturn, Rahu, right? Then means your Moon is damaged, regardless of the strength of the Moon. That Moon is damaged. Now, always look at degrees, right? Now, understand Moon from light perspective again. Saturn, Rahu are dark planets, no light, dark energies. So, when Moon is sitting with them, darkness will prevail. Okay, it's all about light and darkness here. Next is Mars, right? Mars is sitting in Cancer, means it's debilitated. Mars gets debilitated at 28 degrees in the nakshatra of Ashlesha here. Okay, now Mars debilitation, right, is you have to understand, always check the power again, check the power of Moon. If Moon is sitting in Scorpio or Aries, Parivartana Yoga, excellent, no more debilitation. If Mars is sitting here, Jupiter is aspecting from somewhere this Mars, no more Mars debilitation. If Mercury or Venus with Mars here, no more debilitation. Venus does very well with Mars rather than Mercury, and Venus will dignify Cancer and Mars but may lose some of its strength. So important to know that. Okay, I'll give another example also. So Jupiter Venus aspect light on Mars, check it out. Now let's take Libra ascendant. Okay, Libra ascendant 10th house would be what? Cancer, right? Now Mars sitting here, even though it's debilitated, gets what is called directional strength, Digbala, which is excellent. Okay, excellent. Now, Mars should not be aspected by malefic like Saturn, should not be sitting with Saturn or Rahu. That's a big problem. All three will go havoc. I always do this example, right? You have a monkey, then the monkey gets drunk, And then the drunken monkey is bit by a crab or a scorpion. It's going to run havoc all around. That is what will happen when Mars sits with Saturn and Rahu in this house here. Okay, you cannot control it anymore, right? So that's very important. Uh, I'm trying to think anything else I want to add for Mars. Mars, when sits in the fourth pada of Pushya Nakshatra, there is Vargotama happening. So that's a very good sign as well, end of the day. Because Mars is not debilitated in Punarvasu Nakshatra. He gets debilitated in Ashlesha Nakshatra. Okay? All right, Mars is over. Then Mercury, right? Mercury, this is a very bad place because Mercury and Moon are enemies, right? Very bad place, bad house, etc. But check if Mercury is somewhat dignified Parivardhana Yoga, exchange houses. Moon can be sitting in Gemini, Mercury can be sitting here. Moon can be sitting in Virgo, Mercury can be sitting in Cancer, right? That is still good. Okay. Now, if Mercury is with Sun, it's a bad placement because Mercury gets very uncomfortable in an enemy house here. Okay. But also, one more important thing I forgot to say is from the moon, check if planets are in Kendra. Those planets get power because of the reflection of light in a Kendra position, the 1, 4, 7, 10 axis. Okay. Provided the moon is with strength. That is always important, right? So when Mercury is here, let's say Venus or Jupiter aspects or sits with them, or a waxing moon aspects it, or Mercury is with a Kendra to the moon, right? That is a very good position end of the day. Now, if Mercury is with Saturn or Rahu, it's a big problem, right? Usually, what happens is when Mercury with Saturn or Rahu, that person loses the brain or intelligence, right? The ability to think and execute. So will do crazy things, okay? Especially when both of them join together. So that's Mercury here, right? So you always have to check when Moon and Mercury again, whether Mercury is sitting in Cancer, if Moon is in Virgo or Moon in Gemini, right? Parivartana Yoga. Look for aspects. All those things have to be looked at, right? Mercury gets directional strength in the first house, so you want to check that out as well. The next one is after Mercury is Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter. This is exalted house, right? Jupiter gets exaltation here, and I would say at 5 degrees, and the nakshatra would be Pushya nakshatra Pada 1. Okay, it's the Saturn nakshatra. Now that Jupiter exalted would go in the Navamsha to Leo house. Okay, now this is number one house Jupiter loves in the zodiac, other than his own house because this is where exaltation happens, right? Now, now, as I said, importantly, this is a movable house, right? And it's a watery house. So Jupiter does extremely well here. Now, all the best part of Jupiter typically comes from this place here, right? Now, if you look at Jupiter owns two houses, Sagittarius and Cancer. If Jupiter is sitting here, he cannot aspect his house of Sagittarius, which is sixth from here, but he can aspect the ninth house from here, which is the Pisces house, right? So Jupiter gets additional strength, right? Now, if you take a Leo ascendant, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, or if you take Leo ascendant, right? Now, Leo ascendant, if Jupiter is even sitting in Leo, can only aspect its own house, which is the fifth house, Sagittarius. But the eighth house will be Pisces, right? On end of the day, one house is does well versus the other. Okay, that's the way you have to see. And I would say that check which ascendant and which bhava or which houses Jupiter owns, right? That is how the results will come. Because end of the day, it all go back to the ascendant. That's the most important thing, right? So the team A, team B comes into play. Okay. Now, importantly, check if which other planets are aspecting Jupiter or who is with Jupiter. You don't want Jupiter and Rahu to be here or Jupiter and Saturn to be here, right? Now now Jupiter Rahu, the Jupiter will be completely, I would say, gone, as in the Jupiter is loses its strength. That's what they call it as Guru Chandala Yoga, right? Guru Chandala Yoga. And in the Guru Chandala Yoga, the Jupiter loses its strength, and the Rahu would do very well, but the Jupiter is gone. So the Jupiter will be very bad. So Jupiter will give very bad results. Okay. So you want to check the degrees as well in this process. The next one is Jupiter and Saturn, right? If you look at Jupiter and Saturn, it's not really great because it doesn't give you any materialistic gains here. It gives more of spirituality and religion and all those things, right? So Jupiter and Mars is really good, right? Now, Jupiter may lose some strength to dignify Mars, but still it's very good, right? That's what they call it as a Guru Mangala Yoga here, right? We spoke about Chandra Mangala Yoga earlier. This is called Guru Mangala Yoga, right? So that's very good. It gives a lot of money and gains, etc. Real estate, land, medicine, all those things it gives. Now, if the Jupiter is retrograde here, he might lose some strength here, right? But again, if Venus is conjunct here, Venus aspects or Mercury aspects or full moon aspects, then do not consider the retrograde issue anymore. Okay. The next one is, go ahead, Marjorie. W- w- So moon, okay, s- Jupiter and who? Saturn in the fourth, and moon is in the 10th house. So, so couple of things, right? Change of profession, change of career is there. Okay, change of change of change of places or change of place from the birthplace is there. Okay, and who's been the 10th? Okay, well, it's the fourth is the mom, is the fourth house is Capricorn in this case. So no, so the fourth house is father. No, the fourth house is mother, the fourth house Capricorn is mother, the ninth house is father, which is Gemini, which is Gemini. So, so Moon sitting in the 10th house in Cancer is aspected by Saturn, right? Now, that person might have some food issues also, like lactose issues. That person, that person would have changing career, changing profession. Also, could be study something in the life and study something in the life and do some other work, career, right? And Saturn gets dignified very well in this process because sitting in the fourth, Jupiter gets debilitated. But there's no debilitated because there is Nietzsche Banga here. Somewhere this person also yields to spirituality. That's okay. That's okay. Moon is aspecting still, right? Now you have to look at Sun. You have to look at Sun. You have to look at Sun. The strength of the moon, right? You have to look at the Sun to see the strength of the moon, right? Right? Because it's it a full moon, is it a waxing moon, is it a waning moon? The strength of the moon should be seen. Now Jupiter and moon also says the Gajakesari Yoga here. Depending on where, we don't know where other benefits are, right? Where other benefits are, okay? So what happens is this person may get some enemies as well in this process, okay? No problem. But end of the day, all these results will be seen only in the Mahadasa. That's important. Okay? Sure, you're welcome. Sure, I've spoken about this earlier. A Gajakesari Yoga means a moon and Jupiter in a Kendra to each other. Kendra means 1, 4, 7, 10. Okay? Now, in a Gajakesari Yoga, moon and Jupiter conjunction is not Gajakesari Yoga. That's called Guru Chandra Yoga. Okay? Moon and Jupiter conjunction is called Guru Chandra Yoga. Moon and a Jupiter in Kendra to each other is called Gajakesari Yoga. Okay? And and the only rule in a Gajakesari Yoga is you should have another benefic planet like like Mercury or Venus in a Kendra to Moon and Jupiter, okay, or conjunct with Moon and Jupiter, okay. Just because Moon and Jupiter can or Kendra to each other is not Gajakesari Yoga. Usually, so that is what people think. It is not. There should be another planet, the third planet, which is Venus or Mercury, supporting this. Okay, no problem. I'm not done yet. Yeah, I'm not done yet. The important point here is when that combination happens, I always say that these people will have strong enemies in their life. See, this yoga is there because it is here to give you something which is going to come later, which means enemies will be there in your life where you will defeat the enemies and win. Okay. So I would always say that sometimes not to have Gajakesari Yoga in the chart because Gajakesari Yoga gives you strong enemies. Look at Ram's chart, right? Ram had Gajakesari Yoga. He had somebody like Ravan. He had somebody like Indrajit. Okay. S- Okay. So I have to see Mother District chart. Okay. So are you telling me, don't just tell me Jupiter and Venus are in Kendra to each other. That is not Gajakesari Yoga. You should have Venus or Mercury supporting also. Does Madhuri has that? There are. And the minute other planets come into play, everything will come down. Everything will change. See, I am not telling anything, this rule and this exception here. This is in Parashara Hora Shastra. Anybody who did the book reading with me last week, I spoke about Gajakesari Yoga again and again. Okay? Sure. Just give me 1 minute, Sangeeta. I'll just finish Prachiti and I'll make sure she understands that. Is that clear, Prachiti? Okay, sure, no problem. So Jupiter Mars conjunction, you have to look at degrees, like all the conjunction, right? And in a Jupiter Mars conjunction, usually what happens, it's a very good one, right? But the thing here is that Jupiter would lose some of its strength to dignify Mars, okay? And 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 Jupiter, but Mars would get better. But again, you'll have to see which ascendant, right? For a Virgo ascendant, Jupiter and Mars are malefics. For a Taurus ascendant, Jupiter, Mars are functional malefics. For a Gemini ascendant, Jupiter, Mars are functional malefics. Now, but Jupiter is still a natural benefic. So what happens in this case is Jupiter would dignify Mars, but start somewhere losing strength. Now, depending on which house it places, will give you good effects through Mars, but bad effects of Jupiter will come into play. You're welcome. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, it does. No, no. Venus is with Ketu. Yeah, Venus is with Ketu in the ninth house, right? So the biggest problem here is the minute you bring Rahu here, Rahu is the highest negative energy, right? Now, Rahu has the ability to darken the whole house. Just the same way you have a circuit breaker in the house, okay, and that gives light. The remove you. plug the circuit breaker out, the entire house becomes darkness, right? So you cannot. So that is what Rahu is. Now, the only way is you have to see that what are the degrees where Rahu is, where Sun is, or where Rahu, Jupiter, and Mars is. Who is actually a conjunction there or not? You'll have to see. But end of the day, the reality, the bigger point is also Rahu is in his highest inimical sign, which is Leo. Now Rahu does very well in the third house, right? But the problem here is Rahu is in his inimical sign, right? That's a big problem. Okay, so you cannot underestimate that Rahu, who's sitting in Leo, he doesn't like. So he will even do bad things, right? Even though he's Team B, Gemini Ascendant, everything, he would knock off Jupiter and he would knock off Mars. Now you'll have to check at the degrees of conjunction. So, for example, Rahu's, I'm just giving an example. Rahu's at 2 degrees, Jupiter's 28. There is no conjunction. Rahu will spoil the third house effects here, right? But, but, right? But what happens is there is no conjunction. Okay, right? There is no conjunction. Now, what happens in this case is also other things. Rahu is going towards Cancer. He's facing Cancer. Jupiter is facing Virgo. Both their backs to each other. Okay. Now, a couple of ways to validate this based on degrees, right? I don't know the degrees, Scarlett. I don't know what Navamsa, anything, right? Now, this person, if it is a very close conjunction, if it is a very close conjunction, Rahu, Jupiter, Mars, etc., right? That means this person will be the last person in the house as a sibling, won't have any younger siblings. Okay, okay, won't have younger siblings. If at all there is a younger sibling, and Venus can aspect that Rahu without not getting in close conjunction with Ketu, then that person could have a younger sister. That's when you look at the degrees, you will understand that. There you go. There you go. I can't hear you. Sorry, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You have to say that again. I lost you. No, I lost you. Yes, please. Start from again. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So why the older issues the problem is, let me also explain. The 11th house owner, older siblings is Mars, Aries. The 11th lord is caught in the Rahu axis. He's eclipsed. So it has also affected the older and the younger. Sure, they are close conjunction. They are less than 12 degrees, 13 degrees of a nakshatra. Go ahead. There you go. So 7, 7, Jupiter is at what, 15? 8 degrees. Still a conjunction here, right? And what is the third one? Mars is at 14 degree, 20, 14 degrees apart, right? So there is still the conjunction happening. 13, 14 is still a conjunction. Now, the only reason is 13, 14, I would say it's a very loose conjunction. Okay, it's a very loose conjunction. Scarlett, you want to mute yourself? Noise here. Now, Jupiter, Rahu, there is a conjunction. Jupiter, Mars, there is a conjunction. But Rahu, Mars, there is no conjunction. It's a loose conjunction. But end of the day, what has happened is Rahu has taken charge of Jupiter because of the 8 degrees here. Now, what has happened is that Jupiter is not able to dignify Mars in a way. Now, what has happened in this process is the third house has got extremely malefic here. That is why the younger siblings is because younger siblings is all destroyed. No younger sibling. Now Mars is also the owner of the 11th house for this person, the Gemini ascendant, because of the 11th lord being stuck in this whole thing, right? Is also has a problem. Sure, no problem, right? So, and Jupiter would be a very tough one for this person. Is that correct? Is that correct? When did it start? Okay, when did it start? Okay. So this person, see, Jupiter wants the, so let me explain. This person has seventh and tenth because of being a Gemini ascendant. Jupiter wants the seventh and the tenth house, right? Now, what has happened is Jupiter sitting in Leo has the ability to aspect its own house, the fifth house. So, what could have happened is this person either has a late marriage or got married or had a relationship and a breakup would have happened. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, so that's what I said, a difficult one. All right, anything else, Scarlett? Yes, correct, exactly. So that is the whole issue with the sibling issue here. So okay, next is all right, we'll go ahead next with we finished what, Jupiter, right? Jupiter, Mars, everything done. In general, correct, correct. No, Rahu is causes eclipse. Saturn doesn't cause eclipse. See, when Saturn goes near Sun, Saturn gets combust. When Saturn goes near Sun, Saturn gets combust. When Rahu goes near Sun, Sun gets combust. Rahu is fine. Correct. Correct. Rahu followed by Ketu followed by Saturn. It is. It is. But do understand Rahu is still a natural malefic. So it may take you high levels, but it may take you also by undesirable means or unethical means also. Imagine the story of Samudramanta, right? Imagine the story of Samudramanta, how Rahu came in, right? Svarbhanu came in. So that's how it is. Some fall, see, if that Rahu is dignified by Jupiter, if the Rahu is dignified by Venus, if that Rahu is dignified by a full moon without getting conjunct, then that Rahu will do well. There are rules for when Rahu can do well. Should be placed in a friendly sign, in a third house, not in a house like Leo, right? For example, right? Those are the rules. So, for example, Capricorn ascendant, if Rahu sits in Pisces, is an excellent placement in third house. Still, so you have to look at that, right? You have to look at that. Now, Rahu. I'll give another example. Let's take Cancer ascendant. Rahu sits in the sixth house. It's an excellent placement for Rahu in Sagittarius. Okay, so you'll have to look at the Rahu placement. So we are doing a section on Wednesday again further Rahu and Ketu through houses and signs. That's in the Astro, the other club, the Astro Council Club on Wednesday night US time, Thursday morning India time. So do follow the club and feel free to attend as well on that. Yeah, you're welcome. So we'll go with Venus now, right? Venus, if you look at in Cancer, is a very bad position, right? but it's not as bad as Mercury star. Okay. Now, now if you read Parashara Hora Shastra, people were like coming back to me and saying, "Oh my God, the team A, team B is awesome, what you said." And if I apply it further and further, I can see all the results, what is coming as what you mentioned, the team A, team B, right? Now, what is important in this is that people have also started understanding things, right, about the Jupiter, Venus, Captain, etc. Do understand if you read Parashara Hora Shastra, which we have read before, right? Clearly, clearly it says that Venus enemies of Sun and Moon. It doesn't say Jupiter. It nowhere says Jupiter, right? If you read Parashara Hora Shastra again, it says Sun and Moon, Sun and Moon, Sun and Moon, right? So, so clearly, if you see, Jupiter, Venus are different energies, not opposing or not it's just opposing energies, not enemies. So you have to understand through this process as well. Now, now, again, as I said, Cancer, right? Now let's take an example. Venus, bad placement for Cancer, but I'll give examples. Let's take Libra ascendant. Venus is the ascendant lord, sitting in the 10,000 Cancer. It is still a very good placement because he's still sitting in the Kendra, Ucha Kendra, 10th house. Excellent placement still, okay? And he's also the ascendant lord, end of the day, right? Now, let's take an example. Venus, Taurus ascendant, Venus sitting in the third house. Still a good placement, right? It's not Kendra, but it's still a movable sign. Let's take an example, Virgo ascendant, Venus sitting in Cancer. That will become 11th house, Upachaya house. Still, it's a very good position, right? So you have to understand somewhere these things. I'll give another example. Let's take Pisces ascendant, Venus sitting in Cancer in the fifth house. Very good. It's sitting in a benefic house, end of the day moon, and it's just sitting in a trine. Excellent position. Let's take another example. Okay. Libra ascendant, Venus sitting in 9,000 Gemini. Very good placement. Okay. Because it's sitting in a trine. So you have to understand some of those things and straight away don't go and think it's enemy, etc. Right? That is one level you have to break it down. Now, Venus should not be with Saturn or Rahu, right? Now, if Venus with Mars, Venus will dignify Mars, but Venus will lose the energy to an extent, okay? But Mars will do very well. But if Venus and Mars are in Cancer, Mars is already debilitated. So Mars doesn't have that Martian energy the way Mars would typically have. So Venus doesn't lose much energy in this process. Okay, Mars is very important because Mars is your courage, right? Mars is all that inner element of courage, your ability to take, push yourself, take risk, do things right, as being a brave person, all those things. So Mars energy is important in a way. Now Venus should not be with Sun. Combust happens, right? That's very important. Venus with Mercury is fine. It's his whole friend here, even though inimical house. Now I would always say that Jupiter and Venus conjunction different way, but Jupiter aspecting the Venus is excellent. Okay, the finite aspect. Okay, that is how I would say. Or Jupiter even aspecting Venus, Venus aspecting Jupiter. There are some good things. There are some challenges also mixed. It's like oil and water mixing together. Yeah. Saturn. Next is Saturn. Saturn is a very bad place. Two houses, Saturn, bad places. Well, three houses other than Aries is Leo and Cancer. Aries debilitated, Cancer and Leo inimical. Okay, light houses, right? Lighthouse versus Saturn being a dark planet. Now, it's you're taking a dark planet and putting in the lighthouse. What happens? It gets so uncomfortable and it will try to give darkness to the entire house, right? From his house, from Aquarius, if you see, it's a 6-8 axis. From Capricorn, it's a 1-7 axis, right? That's how it's placed. It gives a lot of issues around, personality issues, especially selfish person, stubborn, strong-minded, right? Now, if Saturn is with Rahu, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge, right? Usually, what happens is gives issues with mother, or there's no mother, mother dies at a young age, or mother leaves the child, abandon the child, etc. If Saturn is with Rahu in this house in Cancer, right, it is always better that there should not be any malefic sign sitting or aspecting a Cancer sign, especially Saturn and Rahu here. Okay. Now, if Saturn is sitting here, Jupiter or Venus dignify Saturn, then it's fine. Or a full moon aspecting Saturn, it's okay, except Saturn gets dignified, Moon loses its strength, so Moon will behave bad. Okay, and Saturn usually go check people's chart where Saturn is sitting in Cancer for people, right? If there is no dignification of Moon, right, a full moon dignification or a Jupiter or a Venus, these people also have some kind of issues around addiction, especially like alcohol. You would see that. Okay. Uh, but again, if a full moon is aspecting, yeah, yeah, sure. If Saturn is sitting in Cancer, right? If Saturn is sitting in Cancer, if there is no Jupiter aspect on this Cancer or Saturn, right? Or Venus aspect or conjunction, right? Jupiter or Venus here, right? These people usually have some kind of addiction with alcohol, liquor, etc. Sure, sure. But again, you have to check moon aspect, Venus aspect, full moon aspect, Venus aspect, Jupiter aspect. If that is there, you can't, you won't see it. Sure. So Venus Sun, Venus gets combust here. Check the degrees, right? Anything less than 8 degrees or so, Venus gets combust very badly. Venus loses its strength. So, so your Venus Mahadasa may not do well. Okay. So that's a challenge when Venus is there. 13 degrees, Venus will do somewhat better. It is there. It feels uncomfortable, but not a conjunction. So Venus doesn't lose the strength anymore, but it feels uncomfortable. Over 13 degrees, there's no conjunction. Okay. Venus Saturn, what happens if it's very closely conjunct? Okay, very closely conjunct has gives a lot of issues around sexuality. Okay, so the sexuality could also be different ways of one looking at it. Being important is one. Okay, it can be important. It can be changing the sex of the gender of the person. So all those things are there. Okay, depending on how it is. And depending on other planets aspects, malefic coming into play, like Rahu and stuff, takes very different level, okay, of sexuality into how should I say, going after, I don't know, prostitutes and all those things, or becoming a prostitute, all those things comes into play. So when Venus gets affected, no, well, even any sign for that matter, any sign, okay, any sign, Venus and Saturn coming into play, Cancer is also very bad. Venus and Saturn coming into play, and Venus and Saturn coming into play in Cancer sign also separates this person from the house. Okay, okay, and is it house in Cancer? Okay, okay, okay. So okay, it's fine in Libra, right? Now Saturn is exalted here. Saturn is exalted, and Mercury comes into play. Where is Jupiter aspecting? Okay, okay. So somewhere there is sexuality issue here, and you kind of know what happened. No, no, that's different. He got married late is one because from the fifth house, so Gemini ascendant, Venus, Mercury, and Saturn sitting in the fifth house, right? And the fifth house, Saturn would aspect seventh house, right? Yeah, so that is the whole thing. But you see a lot of things of Bill Gates came of late. You see, so this gives that thing. There is a lot of hidden things in this process. Why? Because the twelfth house is owned by Venus here. Hidden stuff. Correct. And again, Sangeet, I don't know the degrees. You may not, I don't know. Can you tell me the degrees? Because degrees matter a lot. See, and go ahead. So there you go, right? There is issue still happening, but see the conjunction. It's a very loose conjunction. See, anything less than 8 degrees is a very strong conjunction. Okay, 13 degrees is uncomfortable, but not a strong conjunction. Anything over 13 is a loose conjunction or not a conjunction. Right, right. But now, what the problem here? The problem here is Saturn's malefic should not sit in a trine, and this Saturn is exalted. Right now, Saturn sitting in the fifth house aspects 11th house, right? 11th house, and then Saturn, then 11th, right, which is the seventh aspect, then 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, right? So 11, so I'm trying to think what is the next aspect of Saturn on the sitting in the, so give me a minute. So 3, 7, 10 aspect. So the first fifth house aspects the third house, which is seventh. It falls on seventh. Okay. Then the fifth house on the seventh aspect falls on 11th. Okay. Then if I'm not mistaken, 11, then you have the 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Then 12, 1, 2, it falls on the second house, correct? Correct. So, second house is family, second house is family, seventh house is marriage, 11th house is gains. Okay. His fifth house is dignified in a way because you have two planets, Mercury and Venus, sitting there, right? But you also have a malefic sitting in the fifth house, which is not good, right? So somewhere the fifth house attributes are a challenge for them. So there were a lot of things, if you see, which came about, romancing at my our office and etc. 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 All those things. So that does give some challenge over there. Okay, sure, that's fine. Go ahead, Scarlett. It's okay. So Sun, Mars, Venus. Okay, that is a exchange of house between Venus and Moon here. Parivardhana Yoga. Okay, Moon and Venus have exchange houses here. No, no. Why? Because and Moon and Venus are exchanging houses here. Do you see that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the exchange also helps the debilitation here to an extent. Yes. So couple of things, right? Sun is owning, so Cancer ascendant you said, right? Sun is owning the second house Leo for a Cancer ascendant, right? Depending on degrees, depending on degrees of Sun and Mars and Venus here, right? Sun is a very hot, cruel planet. First thing, it would affect the eyesight of the person. The person would likely to wear glasses or contacts, etc., or would have undergone eye surgery, depending on, okay, number one. Number two, that person because Leo house, the house owner is sitting 12th to his house. So this person would be separated from his family and living outside. Okay, right? So so that is number two, right? This person has a very strong personality. Okay, very strong personality, very stubborn. Okay, and sometimes has the ability to lose out the anger. Now, I don't know where Jupiter is, etc., Saturn is, other planets. I'll have to check the dignification of Sun. But usually, give this thing. This person will also have a very hot body, very warm body, always feeling hot, right? Will sweat a lot. Correct, I'm coming. Correct, I'm coming next. Very aggressive, competitive, right? And and I would say would always want to win anything and everything, right? Now, what is also interesting is will have issues around marriage, relationship. Now, where I'm not seeing is Saturn in this place and Jupiter, but with this, I can kind of say that until 30, 32 years, will have challenges in this process for this person. That is straight away. That will give straight away because of the third aspect, right? That's the third aspect on the seventh house. Correct. 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 Absolutely correct. Now, 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 what is also important, right? What is also important in this case is that that Moon sitting in the fourth house, right? But have an exchange with Venus here. So, and Moon and Venus are inimical in this process, right? The first and the fourth lord are inimical. I said earlier, Venus considers Sun and the Moon as his enemies, not Jupiter. So automatically there is always this thought process clash between this person and his mother. And when Sun comes and sits in that thing, right, will also ensure that this person may not talk to the relatives in the mom side that well, not connected at all. That also will give this challenge. Now Jupiter aspect can change, but that's how it is. Sure, just 1 minute, Leonard. Yeah, I'll just finish up with Scarlet. Yeah, is that clear, Scarlet? Great. Thank you for sharing, Scarlet. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Leonard. Yeah, go ahead. So Rahu in Scorpio and Scorpio is ascendant Vedic astrology, right, Leonard? Okay, 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 okay. So then, okay, understand. So this person has few things. One is by birth would have had some kind of disease by birth. Now again, Jupiter aspect I'll have to see. If Jupiter is sitting in Pisces or Jupiter sitting in Cancer, right? Or Jupiter, okay, then it's not going to aspect. Okay, This person would kind of have some kind of health issue as a kid. Okay, some kind of health issue as a kid. Number one, and that is around the stomach area, belly button area, the private areas. That's where I'm talking about. Okay, number one. Number two is this person. I would say that is also has issues with relationships. Okay, okay, very strong issues with the relationship. Number two, right? Number three is this person. I would say is very unpredictable most of the times. Okay. Number three. Now I don't know where Saturn is sitting to see if Saturn is putting a cast in which house. Okay, so not six, that's in Virgo. So Saturn is sitting in Virgo here. That means Saturn is aspecting this Rahu. So that is a big challenge here because this person's, I would say, a lot of things would get slow for, and Lagna ascendant Lord is also here. So he's probably sitting in the sixth house, means he's sitting in Virgo and aspecting Scorpio. So the problem with this person is also that there is some kind of issues around relationships and how should I say? The right word is some, bipolar, bisexual, all those things are there. There's a lot of things. I need to see a little bit more things for me to say it, but there is okay. Okay. No, the thing here is there is a lot of things hidden and mystery about this person which you may not know. Is all I will say that for now. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I would say the more you know about this person, the more you would realize that you don't know anything about this person. This is the truth. Yeah, understand, understand. So so I'll tell you how it is. Let me say how it is. Okay. So is second money, if you look at second house and 11th house. Okay, second house and 11th house. Now the second lord, Jupiter, is placed in from his house. He's placed in the third house. Okay, the second lord Jupiter from his house. So Scorpio ascendant, second lord Jupiter, from that second lord, because second house is money there. Okay, he's placed in third house. Okay, so third house usually gives that miser thing. Miser, become a miser, stingy, and one needs to put a lot of effort to do certain things. Okay, the next one is the 11th house. Okay, the 11th house is also money, right? Now, couple of ways to look at from the 11th house, right? Look, where is Mercury placed? Okay, so Mercury is placed in the 12th house because the Scorpio ascendant, right, in Libra. So again, the 11th lord as yeah. So what happens is this person has this ability to spend money in a lot of hidden ways. Okay. So that is the other thing. The 11th lord is gone to the 12th house, right? And that is another one. And what is happening also is in the 11th house, you have Saturn, you had Mars, and you have Venus. Okay. Now, what is happening is this Venus and this Mercury are in exchange houses. They have exchanged houses, Venus and Mercury. So Mercury goes back to the 11th, Saturn comes, I mean, Venus comes back to the 12th. What happens in this process is you have two malefics sitting in the 11th, Saturn and Mars, and two of them are opposite nature, and both of them will block because Mars doesn't do well in Mercury houses, right? So there are issues around this. But a lot of, see, the invisible part, the visible part, what you see may be a miser, but there are things happening invisibly which you may not know. Correct, correct. Ex- exactly. Right. The hiding part is because the 12th house, 12th rod is extremely strong here. So that's the whole thing. Okay. No, it's externally, he comes across as a minor, the perception. But in reality, it's a different thing because of the hidden things, is what I was trying to say. You're welcome. So, sorry, one minute, Scarlett, 1 minute. Yeah. Sangeeta, is that clear? I just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Scarlett. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Scarlett. So, yeah, we'll finish. So far, we finished Saturn, right? Now we'll come to Rahu and Ketu, right? Rahu in Cancer is very well. Usually, Rahu would take you in Cancer to a foreign place from their birthplace, right? Moves foreign. But again, you have to check the house owner strength, right? Of the house owner strength, moon in this case, again, always, right? Now, if Rahu has to do good in Cancer, certainly dignification has to happen through Jupiter or Venus, right? Or even a full moon aspect without a conjunction with Ketu here, right? Rahu should not be with Mars and Saturn again, right? As I said earlier. And of course, moon also should not be here. But if there is a full moon, the house owner is full moon, right? He's exalted in the 11th house from where Rahu is placed. That's an excellent position, right? And Rahu does very well provided the house is 3, 6, 10, 11, right? So that's important. Now, Ketu is, so Rahu also helps in, I would say, imports. So a lot of import stuff and everything, right? The foreign stuff and everything, import and everything will help. Versus K2 is all about this export stuff, right? Exports. And and K2 does somewhat okay in Cancer, somewhat, not great, okay. K2 also somewhat signifies foreign, right? But again, moon strength. And the only good part is Rahu is even very bad than Ketu. So Rahu still does very well in this house here in Cancer. Now again, Jupiter. So that's why Parashara says Rahu, Jupiter, if your conjunction is Guru Chandala Yoga. Chandala means low, person who can go to a very low level, doing low bad things and all those things, right? And and Jupiter Ketu is called Kotiswara Yoga, which means like a millionaire billionaire. Technically, it's not a millionaire, the way I interpret. The way I interpret is Jupiter doesn't lose his energy and Jupiter is full of energy. That's the way I would interpret. Okay. So that's the way I would say. Again, must be dignified by Jupiter, Venus, or a full moon Ketu here. Saturn, Mars, and all should not be here. Okay. So if it is a 4, 7, 10 house, also Ketu might do well in this house. So I would say that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think anything else. Ketu, Cancer, watery sign, not great. Um, yeah, yeah. No, you're correct. So couple of things, right? In a Guru Chandala yoga, what happens is Jupiter dignifies Rahu, and Rahu Mahadasa will do well, but Jupiter Mahadasa takes a toll. So Jupiter will lose its strength. No, no. So the Jupiter will lose its strength. The end of the day, the loss. See, the end of the day, the dignification of Rahu. Okay, the dignification of Rahu is when you would see that the entire result of Rahu to come in, you will see under Rahu Mahadasa. And in when Rahu Mahadasa comes, it will do well because Jupiter has dignified Rahu. But that Jupiter has completely lost its strength. Okay? So when Jupiter Mahadasa comes after Rahu Mahadasa, one would think that Jupiter will do good, but it won't because it's lost its strength. See, imagine this way. Rahu has zero money in the pocket. Jupiter has $100 in the pocket. Okay? And Rahu has done something wrong in its own way of doing things and cheated Jupiter and taken the money. So Rahu has gained $100 in this process and Jupiter has lost $100. This is what exactly will happen. See, the way one it has to interpret is Jupiter will focus all the energy to keep on dignifying Rahu for Rahu to do well in his Mahadasa. That Jupiter will forget to do the good things because it will always be focusing. So imagine this way, there is a police officer whose job is to provide safety and security. But if that police officer, one police officer, keeps on eyeing on one person all the time as a spy, what he will do is he will make sure that that person doesn't do any damage, but he will ignore all the other things and he'll ignore his ability to do of safety and security of protecting the public and the environment. You see what I'm saying? Because he's always focused on one thing. That's what happens. It is. It That's what will happen. Okay, so go ahead. See, Rahu Mercury conjunction, if it is happening in Mercury houses, it is not good. It is not good because the house owner is with Rahu. Rahu and Mercury conjunction in other houses might give you some good results. Again, the Rahu Mahadasa might do well, Mercury Mahadasa won't do well. See, end of the day, it is all about one versus the other in a conjunction. See, when two people see, I'll tell you this. When two people are going together to have a dinner and both of them have dinner, right? Now when they get the check, right? If one of them pays, Mercury pays it, then Rahu wins and Mercury loses. This is what will happen. True, true, true. So again, true. So what happens is in it depends on the degrees. The 8 degrees, 13 degrees apply. In Rahu Mahadasa, right? This person will try to do some great things and will be successful because Rahu is dignified in this process. When Mercury Mahadasa comes, this person will go havoc in doing things and will fail in all the ventures and would lose. Now, worst scenario, if this happens in Gemini or Virgo, that will be even bigger. Even in Rahu Mahadasha, also some good results may not translate well. Okay, so in a Saturn sign, Mercury does okay in Aquarius, not bad, but Rahu does pretty bad in Aquarius. So, and Rahu, it's an air sign. Okay, so a lot of things will fly in the air for this person. A fly in the air as will be building a lot of things as virtual reality. Virtually, will be trying to do a lot of things and try to execute it where the failure may happen. Now, again, depending on which ascendant, this might be have to be seen at different which house it's coming and which ascendant becomes an important point. Okay, so any planet which comes with Rahu at a close conjunction, any planet, right, is not good at all. It's not good. Any planet. So if a planet is able to aspect Rahu without, like a Jupiter aspects 579 aspect, right? It's great. Saturn should not Saturn should not aspect Rahu. Mars should not aspect Rahu. Saturn and Mars should not be conjunct with each other. Saturn should not aspect Mars. Mars should not aspect Saturn. The malefics should not be together. Those are important rules in this process. You're welcome. So, no, correct. So there is issues with the father. Multiple fathers are associated with that is the case, and in this case, ninth lord is Mercury here as well. But in order to validate that, you have to look at sun's position and ninth from sun. You have to look at that also. So it can be dual father. It can be more than dual father also. Because Rahu will try to expand whatever he's sitting with. But you also have to look at the degrees. You'll have to look at the degrees. Now, what will also you can see is this person could has the ability to change religion, change the way of what this person was born, or not believe in the religion what the person was born with, and has the ability to do some travel out of his city place, birthplace. No, no. So that's different. So Rahu will block it in the fifth house. That's exactly how you should understand. So it will give you, it will, where you want something, it won't give you. Where you don't want something, it will give you. So where you want kids, it won't give you multiple kids. Where you want one father, it will give you multiple fathers. So the rules are different. So yeah, thank you. So Gemini ascent. So not only Rahu, right? Not only Rahu, all malefics in the fifth house. Okay, all malefics in the fifth house. Number one. Okay, you can go and check these charts. Malefics in the fifth house usually, right, will give delay in kids. That means somewhere a delay in marriage is also there because seventh house will be affected. So Saturn sitting in the fifth, seventh house aspect is there, right? The third aspect, right? So delay in kids. Mars sitting in the fifth would aspect the eighth house, marriage life, because fourth aspect. Okay, okay. I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm not done. Is that clear? I'm not done. Second important thing is first getting a child may be a little bit late. Once a child comes after a lot of try, abortion could happen. Loss of child is indicated also. Now Jupiter aspect would change again this. And the third one is usually the first child will be a female child. That's what it is. when malefics sit in the fifth house. Now, Saturn will give different kind of issues. Mars will give different kind of issues of how this happens. I'm explaining through the egg, the ovary, and all those things. And Rahu will give different, and Sun will also give issues here in this case, being a malefic. Okay, so Sun also will have an issue in the fifth house here. Not only Mars, Rahu, and Saturn. Sun automatically has a problem here. Okay. So, so again, you have to see the degrees, right? You have to see the degrees. The minute you bring multiple planets, you have to see the degrees, you have to see the Navamsa placement, right? And go ahead. But which house? Which house? Don't tell me just which sign, which sign. Okay. Yeah. See, see, Rahu and Moon in Cancer, Rahu and Moon in Cancer is very bad, right? It spoils the relationship with the mother, gives issues with the mother. Okay. Now, now Now again, you'll have to see how close is the degree, and if Saturn is aspecting this Rahu and Moon, that is very important, right? If you have to see if Saturn is aspecting it, would take a different level. Okay. Now if Jupiter is aspecting it, you'll have to see the strength of the Jupiter if there's enough strength. Maybe you will see some good results means a savior, a blessing into somewhere, some savior will happen. So the mom may be there for some time, right? But at some point it will break at 30 years, 40 years by the time the individual comes up, right? But that is what will happen. But will also cause separation from the mother, going to a foreign place. For that happens. But if you have to see if Rahu Mahadasa is coming or not, right? See, end of the day, 42 matures, but Rahu moon is like an eclipse, right? That moon is caught in the eclipse when somebody is born. So that is going to last lifelong, end of the day. Well, right, to an extent, maybe yes. See, it's all a consolation, it's a brownie point, it's a consolation here. But end of the day, it is going to be a nightmare. And the biggest challenge this person will see, the biggest issue is Moon Mahadasa Rahu Antardasa. Okay? Moon Mahadasa Rahu Antardasa. Until that, Moon Mahadasa will be somewhat okay because Jupiter is aspecting, as you say. You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? Why don't you check? Why don't you check? I think Mahatma Gandhi is either a Cancer ascendant or a Leo ascendant, if I'm not mistaken. One of the two ascendant. I think it's probably Cancer, but go and check. Rahu moon no. Rahu moon no. Rahu moon no. Saturn moon somewhere goes. But Rahu moon no. Well, but Jupiter has to aspect it anyhow. Saturn moon is still very bad. But Jupiter aspect has to come into play. It's Mars. See, the Mars expansion is Cancer sign is expansion, right? Jupiter comes to Cancer and expands. But the reality is Rahu moon is eclipse, it's darkness, it's expansion of darkness. That is the way you should see. Okay, all right. Which ascendant is which ascendant? Is it Libra ascendant? Okay, Mars, Venus, Mercury, the first house. Okay, where is Jupiter? So Jupiter is in seventh house. Okay, which is in Aries, right? So that is where the expansion is happening, right? Because Jupiter is aspecting the ascendant, and Jupiter is aspecting the ascendant Lord, and the ascendant is oneself. The ascendant is you. Ascendant Lord is you. So Jupiter is aspecting it. That is why the expansion is happening. So Rahu Moon is not expansion here, right? Rahu Moon is darkness, complete darkness, eclipse. See, look at what happens in an eclipse, right? There is no expansion, there is darkness. So that is what it is. No, 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 no. I understand what I'm saying. It's a partial eclipse. See, what I am saying is Rahu Ketu with Sun or Moon together is an eclipse. Solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. Solar eclipse happens on a new moon, lunar eclipse happens on a full moon. Okay? When Sun or Moon are captured, Sun and Moon are captured, what happens, either one or both, gives Rahu and Ketu gets highest enjoyment, and among these two, Rahu gets the highest enjoyment. Okay? For a Libra ascendant, 10th house is owned by Moon, which is job. So there is definitely, you see, the thing is gone for him, end of the day, right? Right? And also important is there is always eclipse happening around his mind in this case, right? But the expansion is happening because Jupiter is sitting in the seventh in a Kendra and aspecting Venus and Mars and Mercury. So two benefics in the ascendant. Okay, so that is the expansion. And Mars gets strengthened up here because Mars sitting in the first house aspect his own house, Aries, the seventh house. That is the way I would say, if you ask me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, this one, Robin Williams. Thank you. Okay, okay, okay. So look at all the charts. See the eclipse. See the eclipse and expansion. Not really, right? See the eclipse, in my opinion. See, let me tell you this. The eclipse can give you, see, the mind and thing happens. They say that a lot of big personalities are also with eclipse, but they don't fall with eclipse also. Like Diana was born close to eclipse time also, if you look at it. But she died at the age of 36 years, just before 36 years. So the point I'm trying to tell you here is that Rahu and Moon getting damaged. right? Rahu and Moon getting damaged is not expansion here. It's darkness, right? It's partial darkness, right? So, correct. So look at we look at it, right? So open up all the horoscopes, everybody what you're saying. Look at ascendant Lord here getting dignified somewhere. Ascendant Lord getting dignified through benefic planets like Jupiter and Venus or a full moon. That's what you would see. Or Mercury. You would see these combinations, right? You would check, and then if profession wise, if they have to be done, then 10,000 is something you have to look at. 10,000 10th Lord profession wise. So you have to look at first house and 10,000 10th Lord here, first Lord. That's the way you would look at. You're welcome. Okay, Sumina, hi. Sumina, you had a question? Sorry, I can't hear you, Sumina. You got to speak out loud. Yeah. So you have to look at the degree. Yeah. Okay, if they're quite close, then is anybody else aspecting them? Saturn or Mars aspecting them? Okay, so Libra, Mars is sitting in the fifth house, which is in Aquarius. Okay, so in fifth house, Mars won't aspect this one. And where is Venus sitting? Do you know where is Venus sitting? No, 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 eighth or seventh. You're guessing now because the answer is different. If it's in the seventh house, for a Libra ascendant, Mars sits. Okay, so Venus is for Libra ascendant, Venus is in Leo. Okay, and Venus is in Leo, and Mars sits in the fifth house in Aquarius. Yeah, yeah, okay. So Mars gets 10th Digbala, Mars is in 10th for a Libra ascendant, Mars sits in Cancer. So that's kind of debilitation, but again, Jupiter is not aspecting, and you have to see Moon and Venus now to see if the debilitation is cancelled. But where is Venus? Where is Venus sitting? Venus in 11th Leo. So if Jupiter and Rahu are conjunct very closely, and there's no aspect of Venus here, right? Then your Jupiter Mahadasa would not do well. But if your Rahu Mahadasa is running, it might do some good things for you. Okay? Multiple planet conjunction in the fourth house, which is Capricorn. Okay? See, so see, every planet will behave differently depending on which ascendant, which lord. You will have to look at the strength. In the fourth house, Venus gets very good strength because of Digbala. And being the Libra ascendant in this case, he gets very strong strength. But you also have to look at whether Venus is combust or not. right? You have to look at degrees. That's when degrees comes into play. Yeah, that's combust. That's combust. So Venus loses a lot of its strength with Sun here, right? Now you'll have to see if Jupiter is aspecting this combust Venus. Then that Venus will get back its Jupiter is in the first in Libra, is not aspecting it, right? If with the moon, if this Venus with the Kendra to the moon, then this Venus will get strength again. So you'll have to read the whole chart, Serena. Yeah, correct. Correct. But the Jupiter will lose the energy. You're correct. I said an example earlier. I said an example earlier. A police officer is looking at somebody, watching all the time, will control that person very well. But in this process, he will forget to do good things on his own. So you are correct. That the Jupiter Rahu conjunction is called Guru Chandala Yoga because Jupiter will lose its energy significantly, even though he can control Rahu. Okay. Rahu will behave well. Rahu will behave well. But Jupiter won't. Jupiter is loses energy now. Exactly. Okay. All right. Is that clear? Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Satish. Who? With who? Jupiter and who? Okay. 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 So here is the thing, right? Jupiter, Sun, Moon, and Mercury. You have to before you analyze this, you'll have to see who is aspecting this house first. Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, Mars, nobody. Okay. Now you have to look at all the degrees. Break down all the degrees of all these four planets. So tell me all the degrees for the four planets. Okay. So Jupiter is going towards Sun. Okay. Jupiter is going towards Sun, right? It's going towards Sun. So there are 6 degrees apart. Okay. 9, 12 degrees. So 3 degrees. Okay. 9, 12. So that's a new moon. Okay. 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 So Jupiter is at, say the degrees again. Sorry, say it again, please. Jupiter is at what degree? 3 degrees. Sun 9, 3, 9, 12. Okay. 3, 9, 12, 14. Okay. So, okay. So the way here it is Jupiter, even though it's combust or close to, it's not that combust. It's going towards Sun, right? It's going towards Sun, is feeling the pressure of getting combust. So your Jupiter will give you almost 50% still good results easily because your Jupiter is exalted and full energy here in Cancer ascendant. Being Cancer ascendant sitting in the first ascendant, Jupiter first house, Jupiter gets Digbala. So your Jupiter is very strong. Now in the Navamsha, they all will be placed differently, right? So Jupiter, if you look at Jupiter, if you look at in the Navamsha, will be Vargotama. No, no, no. You said no, no. Hold on, hold on. You said Jupiter is in 3 degrees. You said Jupiter placed in 3 degrees is in its own nakshatra, Punarvasu, fourth pada. Okay, then, okay, that means the degrees are all wrong, what you said. See, Jupiter, if it's 3 degrees, that means it's Punarvasu, fourth pada. Punarvasu, fourth pada is Vargotama. No, no, no. Okay, so which house we're talking? You're not talking on Cancer here. You're going back to the Cancer ascendant, and I thought that all of this was happening in Cancer. That's okay. Okay, okay. So Cancer ascendant, you have 4 planets conjunction in Aquarius in the 8th house, correct? Okay, now we are going in different direction. Okay, so 8th house is a bad house, right? 8th house is a bad house for a Cancer ascendant here. Okay, you have Sun, you have Moon happening in the 8th house, very bad. Very bad. Okay. And you have Mercury in the eighth and you have Jupiter in the eighth. So that's what you're telling me, right? Okay. Okay. So this is a bad placement. Sun gets a little bit strength because Sun sitting in the eighth house can aspect its own house, Leo. Okay. Jupiter does well in Aquarius. Jupiter does in very well Aquarius. So are the degrees correct what you said earlier? 3, 9, whatever it is, you said the degrees. Okay. So Jupiter is still feeling uncomfortable, right? Uncomfortable. Jupiter is not exalted. So your Jupiter would be somewhat okay, not great. Okay. Sun gets higher strength because it's aspecting the second house, right? So this person's second house gets afflicted a lot in this process. Okay. So that means family is a challenge here in this process. Okay. Okay, family becomes a challenge. This person also has ability to speak a lot of lies. Okay, and the good part is Jupiter sitting in the eighth is Aquarius is not a bad sign, but but the challenge here is that Jupiter is very less strength and it's the eighth house. So what happens in this case is this person will move away from his birthplace, from his birthplace. Now, sitting in the eighth, this Jupiter will aspect the 12th. Do you know which Mahadasa is this person is running? Okay, so Mercury Mahadasa for Cancer ascendant is a big challenge. And Mercury sitting in the eighth with Moon and Jupiter is somewhat a challenge. So there are challenges for Mercury Mahadasa in this thing. Okay, okay, there are challenges, and the challenges is will continue further for the next few years. 2 3 years is going to happen because down the line this person is probably also undergoing Ashtama Sani, not Ashtama Sade Sati, rather my mistake, Sade Sati, my mistake, Sade Sati, sorry. And in Sade Sati, the next year is, I don't know if it's Shravana, is what nakshatra, Dhanisha nakshatra, moon or Satabhisha. Okay, so this is 2021. 2023 will be the most challenging year of his life for this person. 2023. No, no. 2023 is when Saturn will go on top of Shatabhisha Nakshatra in Sadisati. That itself will start giving this challenge. And in that case, that person will change places as well further. So wait and watch when Sadisati happens. So as he changed place this year, or is he planning to change his location this year, or has he changed location this year? Okay, will happen. Yeah, will happen. This year, the change of place will happen. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, guys? Which house is in the Navamsha with Ra? No, which Rasi? Which Rasi? So, okay. So, Moon, Rahu, Leo, and everything. Moon is in a friendly sign, but still it's a fire sign, right? So, a lot of fire energy comes out with it. But that's only one way of seeing the strength of the moon, right? There are six, seven ways you have to see the strength of the moon. Is it a full moon, new moon in the D1 chart, right? Is it moon aspected by, is it close to Digbala? Is it close to Sthanabala, right? Sthanabala is one house, exaltation, Muna Trikona. Digbala is the fourth house. All those things have to be understood. It's like peeling the layers of onion to understand the strength of the moon. That's the way you have to see. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Hi, Mrinalini. Go ahead, please. Spirituality. Right. So if Moon and Jupiter are, sorry, Mercury or Jupiter and Saturn are sitting in the first house, look at the degrees of conjunction. Look at the degrees. Who is at the lower degree? Who is at the highest degree? You have to check. Okay. Now in Cancer, you have three nakshatras: Punarvasu, Punarvasu, Pushya, Ashalesha. Right. Somewhat if so, then see who's sitting in whose nakshatra next. Okay. Now that is one point. Now the second point is check out the status of the house owner. You have to block yourself because you're sorry, you're unmute mute yourself. It's noise coming out. You have to check the status of the house owner. The house owner moon. Is the house owner moon with strength or not is very important. Right? If the house owner is weak, it's a problem. So you have to check that. The next one, what you have to check is, right? If is where is the moon, Ronaldo? Do you know where the moon is? Okay, so Moon and Venus in Libra in the fourth house. So both of them are in Digbala, in directional strength. Very good strength here, right? Somewhat very good strength here. So the house owner is very strong. Now, now what is important is this moon from Moon's Kendra, you have Mars. So Mars gets dignified. Moon's Kendra, Moon's Kendra, you have Jupiter and Saturn. They both get dignified because of Chandra Kendra concept. Now, do you know if that moon is a full moon like Swear's sun? Do you know that? Okay, so this moon is a waxing moon, right? This moon is a waxing moon, and this moon is almost I would say 60% in strength in waxing moon, right? So now what happens here is Mars gets, even though exalted, gets dignified because of Chandra Kendra and Jupiter aspect. But Saturn aspecting Mars, Mars aspecting Saturn, Jupiter aspecting Mars. This kind of combination also has the ability for the person being spirituality go to into a profession like medicine. Medicine. Okay. Medicine is one person. Now I'll have to look at the D10 chart. So it could be medicine, it could be also real estate. Okay. Correct. Correct, correct. There is. Correct. See, it would happen, right? It would happen. It would also have issues with having children quickly. They won't have children easily. Why? Because Mars sitting in the seventh would throw us eighth aspect on the second house. And do understand, Leo is a barren sign also. So family, getting into the family way is a challenge here, right? So there is also a late marriage associated for this person. It is, it is, right? So see, if you keep her, if you keep her ascendant as seventh house, Saturn, now Capricorn is her ascendant. From there, Saturn is sitting in the seventh with Jupiter. So it's expanding, Jupiter is expanding Saturn through Jupiter. So somewhere what happens is Saturn and Jupiter combination, the husband goes into spirituality. There is the spiritual thing, or it's happy with whatever this person has basically. Doesn't care, doesn't doesn't care much about, you know, no more, right? Doesn't care about it. Now, depending on which, true, agreed, totally agreed, right? And now what happens is, do you know which Mahadasa this person is running? Okay, okay. So you have to see the Mahadasa, right? That's the most important thing, right? The Mahadasa is what you will see what is happening for this person. But I see your point. So the way I would say is, the way I would say in this case is that there is conflict management between the couple here in this process, right? Because of the materialistic versus spiritual. Being happy for one person versus other person want to go to the next level of heights. All those things happen in this process. Okay? You're welcome, Rinaldi. Thank you. Hey, hi, Deela. Sumina, I'll come back to you. Yeah, we'll just take turns. I'll come back to you, Sumina. Thank you. Hi, Neela. How are you? No problem. Go ahead. Yeah, kind of. We started around 6:40 or so. So, so, so I just said this so many times before you came on. You should not just say that Mars in Cancer is debilitated. I said it so many times. You have to go and check if the moon is in Scorpio or Aries, then there is exchange of houses. There is no debilitation. If this Mars is debilitated in Cancer, let's say, is aspected by a Venus or conjunction by the Venus, no more debilitation. If Jupiter is aspecting this Mars, no more debilitation. So that is all you to understand. You should not take it at face value of the debilitation. Debilitation is loss of light, right? Loss of light energy. If if the planet with the light energy is able to give aspect to Mars, then light comes back. Same way your phone is without charge. You plug a power bank, you get your charge back. That is exactly what these planets do. So you got to understand this to this level, you know. So you have to understand that, yeah. So I would say that you should not take it as face value for debilitation. Please understand. Okay. You're welcome. So I have closed hand raising, guys, because we've been going for more than, I would say, 2.5 hours or so. So we'll probably end in the 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But I thought I'll ask if there's any other questions. I'll be happy to answer. Correct. So I don't know what you're saying, the design thing, to be honest. I'm not aware. You have to give some more insights or inputs. What website it is, what it is. So I'll have to go and so it's my body graph, yeah, my body graph. Is that the website? Okay. So I'll have to go. Yeah. Are you aware of it, Marjorie? I don't know. I've not done it. Who does that? Who does that? Lynette. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I know Lynette. Yep, yep. Yeah. So I really don't know, to be honest, right? I'm not an expert on that. I'm sure there is some kind of science and something involved in it. So I don't know. I can't comment. But I have picked the Lynette as well. If she comes, I can ask her. But I'll talk to Lynette offline also to understand it. But I really don't know. Maybe I'm sure there is something beyond it, another way of scientific explanation. But I unfortunately I just can't answer your question at this time because it's beyond me. I'm only into astrology, you know. Sure, I'll do some work. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if Marjorie or somebody else knows it can answer because I don't know that. thank you, and um, thank you, Marjorie. And and I mean that's the whole thing, right? We have a lot of things going on, right? And there is always other ways you can find, but you have to figure out, as Marjorie said, how to navigate through this. You know, exactly. And I have sent Lynette a message also offline. So hopefully, if she sees my message, she might come in. If she comes in, Sumina, she will be the person to answer it for you because it's beyond me. So I am only into Vedic astrology, so I can answer hopefully things around Vedic astrology and not beyond Vedic astrology. So that's beyond me. So understand, understand. I understand. I understand. No problem. Okay, I've sent a message. If she's available, she might join. I don't know, so we'll see. Otherwise, I'll wait for a minute. Anybody any other questions? Otherwise, we can grab the room today. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for joining, and I really appreciate all your help. And we'll catch up on Wednesday. We are doing the Rahu Ketu session on science and all those things. So we'll be doing on Wednesday a more deeper study on Rahu Ketu. So you might want to join the Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, India time as well, right? Wednesday Central Time and Thursday India time as well. So please follow. And then Thursday we'll have the book reading as well. So more to come, and thank you. And I'll then say a quick prayer and I'll be closing the room for today. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks to everybody. Oh, would be in the Astro Council Club. Astro Council Club. You have to do is follow me, and you'll be able to get there. But it's Astro Council Club. It's not in Vedic Astrology Club. Okay. Thank you. Thursday book reading will be in this room. So Leonard is back here just in time. Hey, Leonard. That's no problem. We had a great question for you. So Sumina wanted to know about the human design, which I'm not aware. But Marjorie said you are an expert. So there you go. Sumina, it's for you, Sumina. Great. Thank you, Lynette. Wow, this is very insightful. No idea about it, no clues, but thank you. All right, so we're done for today, and we'll be following the next session Wednesday evening on Rahu Ketu. So do join as well, and then Wednesday evening Central Time, and then Thursday we are doing the book reading both Zoom and Clubhouse. Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks again, Leonard. I'll be ending the room. Thank you.